welcome to Turtle Tracks Podcast. This is your host, Brian VanHooker, and I am here with a bunch of guys from IDW Comics to talk about the new Battle Nexus miniseries. There are 5 of them, so I will definitely screw up somebody's name and then be frustrated with myself if I did it myself. So I'm going to have them introduce themselves, who they are, and their contribution to Battle Nexus, which has a huge like murderer's row of writers from IDW. So let's start with Erik.
Okay, I thought you'd start with Tom. Hi, I'm Erik Burnham, and on Battle Nexus, I wrote the 5th issue and also little one-page backups for the entire miniseries.
I start with you because you're at the top of my screen. So,
fair enough.
Which everybody will tell in the audio podcast. They'll know that you're... Jake.
Hi, I'm Jake Thomas. I'm the group editor of Turtles, which means I oversee all the Turtles comics and a number of other comics at IDW, and I am the editor on this series.
Caleb?
Hello, I'm Caleb Goellner, and I'm the writer on Battle Nexus number 4.
Tom?
I am Tom Waltz, and I am the writer on Battle Nexus number 1.
And Paul?
Yeah, I'm Paul Allor. I wrote Battle Nexus number 2.
Cool. I guess to get started, I would love to hear where Battle Nexus started for IDW. Like, why do, like, that's been a thing in the Turtle lore since the 2003 show, and it was in Volume 4, and maybe 1 or 2 other places. Maybe not. Anyway, when did it decide that IDW was going to do something in the Battle Nexus space? Does anybody know?
I can go back a little bit probably for Jake and them. My understanding was we were talking about some other another similar type of event, multi-dimensional event, kind of centered on one character, and that was I think Charles Beecham was still the editor on Turtles at the time. So the seeds were planted in that event itself that we were discussing. That didn't happen, but it has kind of evolved into this Battle Nexus thing in a way. And I'm actually happy this is what happened. I think this is the stronger event. I think this has a lot more fan appeal across demos. But it certainly started as another thing that had multi-dimensional aspects to it that then became specifically the Battle Nexus effort. And then after that, it was just a matter of us all kind of spitballing, co-plotting. Everybody threw a bunch of stuff at the wall. I mean, we literally actually had, I think, different stories, breakdowns from each writer almost, and then it was a matter of just putting that all together into one kind of cohesive piece. And I think that's when Andy Corey came on board, and he was doing that, and then now it's in Jake's able hands. So it's not only been multi-dimensional, it's been multi-editorial.
Well, I mean, I should clarify, every issue is written by somebody else, right?
Mm-hmm.
Besides who's here, I know Sophie Campbell wrote one. Am I missing anybody? Is there another person who wrote one?
That's it.
Okay, cool. I mean, how was that? Why was it decided to do it that way? Because that's an unusual way to do a miniseries. Does anybody know?
I don't know. I think it was just kind of like it added to the event feel of it, kind of.
Yeah, like a jam. Sure.
Yeah, and I think there's so many people who've worked on Turtles at IW over the years with so many great ideas. This was just a chance for a bunch of people to come together and maybe even in some ways maybe tie loose ends, get to play with a character they didn't get to play with before, or introduce a character, or just be kind of part of something like this. That kind of was this group collaborative effort. But it wasn't. I don't remember it really being beyond that. It was almost like, this would be cool. And we all said, yeah, this would be cool. And kind of went from there. That's how it felt.
I was just happy to have an excuse to talk to everybody. Not at a convention when it's super late and everybody's tired. And they're like, why am I out at night? I should be asleep. Good to see you. So it was, for me, it was just fun to talk to everybody and hash everything out and get to say all of my bad ideas that would have just broken 10 artists, so but yeah, Tom's on the money. I got pulled in by Andy, and I think it was already sort of in motion, and I was like, oh cool, I get to make a bunch of jokes during this call because I've known Andy for a long time. He's like, Andy's like he can be very serious. Like he's very serious about like the craft of comics. Like that's what makes him such a good editor. And then like we worked together a million years ago, and I was always the one just like trying to annoy him so hard. Like, it's like joke, joke, joke. So fortunately he put me on the issue where I got to make some jokes. So
Now, Eric, when did you come into the picture?
I have no idea. I think just shortly after Tom, as far as because I talk to Tom all the time, and he said, "Hey, I just got talked to about this thing." And like as he's talking about some stuff, I mean, talking around it, I should say. I get a ping, and I said, "Oh, is it this?" Hey, yeah, how'd you know? Well, I just got an email, Tom. And it was just I mean, I'm always happy to be invited to play in the larger sandbox, so it was exciting for me. And really, it was pretty much just, do you want to play? Yes. And yeah, I mean, I wish I had a deeper story. I think we all have pretty much the same story. Hey, do you want to come play in this really cool jam? Yes, absolutely. Okay, well, that was easy.
Now, Paul, was that the same for you? I know you came on later, I think you said.
Pretty much, yeah. Probably came around the same time as Caleb, I'm guessing. But yeah, same deal where I got an email from Andy where he had been going on for a while. I think he said like, I'm pleased to be able to finally tell you about this and invite you on board. And then we started doing the writers calls like almost immediately after that. So yeah.
So I mean,
Brian, another thing that kind of played into it also is at the time this was definitely going to be it didn't happen, but it was definitely going to be a November 5-week issue event. So that was another thing that kind of played into it. We needed everybody rolling fast if we were going to have all these 5 issues in the can in time for a 5-week event in November, which of course we didn't. But and honestly, I think it's better for it. I honestly do. I think it gave us a little more time to kind of like beat it out a little bit better, and then and gives the artists a little more wiggle room, and I think it benefited from that. But initially, for sure, I think the art was going to change for that reason, because relying on one art team to try to get it all done as fast as they would have had to, that wasn't going to happen. And then I think it just then evolved again to the 5 writers going along with 5 different artists.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if we can shout out who does each issue. I would love to kind of give them the credit. So I know, who does issue 1, Tom?
Escorza Brothers and Luis Antonio Delgado is our colorist throughout, I believe, the entire series.
Well, that makes sense. Luis, I mean, yeah, he's the best.
Yeah.
Issue 2 was Ben Bishop, right? Who did issue 2? That's Paul, right?
Yeah, Ben Bishop, who, I mean, talk about a thrill to be able to work with him. I was really very, very excited when I got the email saying he was on board.
Who does issue 3?
Vitor Kafaji. I'm just realizing I don't think I've ever said his name out loud, but Vitor Kafaji is doing number 3.
And I saw some of those pages today. Those are pretty fantastic. The whole thing is fantastic, but every time a new page comes in, and I was seeing pictures today, and I literally said, wow, these are really nice.
Now, issue 4 is... Who's that one?
Omar or Frenzia.
Okay, and then 5 is...
5 is, I think, going to be a surprise.
Oh!
Yeah. It has. There was. I don't know why there was an art change, and it hasn't been announced yet, so it's a surprise. So I don't know if I'm supposed to say who it is. So I'll keep my mouth shut.
But we should also mention that Sarah Meyer is doing the art in the backup story, which is a 2-page spread at the end of every issue, which is more like kind of multiversal fun stuff with the Turtles.
Well, 1 page, but I asked if Sarah would do it like a Sunday comic strip style, so it's landscape instead of portrait.
Oh,
you gotta move your...
Yeah. You got to turn the comic to the side. Gives a little bit more real estate for them to work with.
Oh, that's cool. I just read it on my screen. I was like, I think I couldn't.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. I'll read things in advance for interviews like this, but like for the most part, I like to have the comics in my hand, so I don't like reading them on the screen. But I had to make an exception here. So.
Oh yeah.
One thing, take me back to the story, the early meetings you guys had. How did the story take shape? How did you decide it's all 4 IDW Turtles versus a mix of villains? Like, how did the story form?
Awkwardly.
That's
It was
pretty much
both-
it.
at the beginning, it was nobody wanted to be the one to say, I got the better idea than you do, Joe. Let me show you. And so Charles was asking everybody just throw something, and eventually Andy, everybody throw something at me and we'll just see what it is. And it was just crickets on some of the emails for a while. And I could tell it was just nobody wanted to be that person to say, all right, here's what I think it is. So I know one thing I finally did was I just broke down 5 issues of what I thought it could be. And I sent that to Andy, and I said, "Here's what I think it could be. I'm not sure if anybody else is putting anything in. You don't have to do anything with this. You can throw it away if you want, but at least I feel like I've offered some input." And then after that, I started to see that things were starting to come together. So I think either everybody had that same idea to kind of do it on the sly, like I did it, or we just finally got over that awkwardness. But once the idea started coming, it was fun to see what stayed, what didn't, how things got kind of moved around. And I thought Andy did a really good job with that, of finding a way to give everybody kind of their moment they want, while at least, and maintaining a cohesive through line and a cohesive story. And so, but yeah, I would describe it as it was very awkward up front, and then it turned into something very enjoyable.
Now, Tom, I know you're a big fan of the 2003 series. Did that inform any of this for you?
It informs everything I do on IDW Turtles. Really, it does. That's my favorite series. So to me, a lot of times those voices are the ones in my head, even now after all these years working on Turtles for IDW. I think I have a specific universe that I live with in my brain that's IDW's, but it's very, how we say Last Ronin is Mirage adjacent. For me, IDW Turtles has always been 2003, 2007 CGI movie adjacent. For me, as I've written it, that was kind of the feel I was going for. And and this one certainly did. I was excited though, because the way I recall, I know we've always wanted to kind of bring Ninjara in, and I don't know, there was, I think, legal issues at some point, and just questions we had, and there was a lot of reasons we didn't bring her into the series. So getting to bring her in this time, I thought was a big, if I remember, it was a big push from Sophie. I know Sophie wanted to do something with Ninjara, but I expected that to happen in an issue that I wasn't writing. So I was actually excited once we sat down and we kind of, Andy gave us this full, outline of the entire story, and here's your issue, here's the beach we want you to hit. And I saw Ninjara was part of that. I was like, oh, that's cool. That was exciting for me. And so to be able to write her even a little bit, but introduce her into the universe, that was exciting for me after all these years. But these turtles live in my head like my kids at this point. It's been so many stories that it's so fun and so easy for me just to go right back into it, because it's just a huge part of me at this point. I always joke, sometimes I think my memories aren't my memories, are memories from stories, because I've done it for so long, this world, that I get a little confused sometimes, like, was that me or is that Casey Jones? But this series itself was just a really fun chance to kind of play with some new characters. I never had written Savante Romero. That was my first time.
Oh, right, because that was a lot of Bebop and Rocksteady stuff. Yeah.
So I got to kind of, do some things that I cheered on, because my favorite to this day, just about my favorite of all the stuff we've done for Turtles over the years, are those two Bebop and Rocksteady miniseries. Those things,
Destroy Everything is so
they
good.
crack me up so much. They're like mad geniuses, though. And I wanted, every time I do Bebop and Rocksteady, I'm always like, I just want to even be half as funny as those guys were. And so having them in the, that first issue, and like I said, Savante Romero, it was kind of like getting to do something new and something that I've been doing for a long time.
Because I think at least fans always assume that the reason why Alopex is not Ninjara was that she was kind of a stand-in for that character. I don't know if that's correct or not, but
well, Brian Lynch brought Alopex in a macro series story with Wrath.
Right.
It may have been, and actually it may have been, that might have been the case, but I seem to recall Brian kind of just saying he likes foxes. He liked a snow fox.
Oh, okay, sure.
Like the idea of having, I thought that'd be a cool mutant. I remember him telling me, but the big reveal in his story, it was Bebop and Rocksteady at the end, and they were in their human form at the end of that story. Right. So this is like the first Raph macro series. He, Alopex was kind of like a means to an end. He couldn't wait to, show Bebop and Rocksteady kind of in that last page. And then, as it tends to happen, Alopex took on a life of her own and has become very popular.
Oh my gosh, and a great character throughout the series.
Mm-hmm.
Here, now now the Ninjara we're meeting is a new Ninjara. She's not Archie Ninjara, correct?
I'm gonna let Jake explain this one because I sort of understand it myself and sort of don't.
Yeah, we're playing a little fast and loose, but we give her some fun backstory in the third issue.
Okay.
Which unfortunately Sophie wrote, so she's not here to speak to. But yeah, we give her her own little backstory there, which is really cool. So yeah, which Ninjara is she?
Was there a reason that we didn't want like explicitly this is Archie Ninjara?
Just a little more freedom.
Sure. Yeah.
You know,
You get locked into canon, it gets hard. Sure. Oh,
Yeah.
right. Because also, I mean, where would she be at that point? Right? They broke up. I
Yeah.
never read those ones where she's like, what were the ones? Furlough? Was that the ones where she's naked or something? I don't know those ones very well. But I
Well,
know
the other thing is that we have Archie Raff in the series. Archie
Right,
Raff
yes.
is in Battle Nexus
in the black suit, which is exciting.
in the black suit.
Yeah.
So
Oh, sure.
it'd be
so
a
then
little
that's-
awkward to have the two of them.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, here's a question: how were so with her and also we know I think it's public knowledge that Mirage Shredder is in the series as well as the 2012 Metalhead, which is a fantastic Metalhead, and I think IDW Slash. I guess my question is, how was that roster of villains decided upon? Like, it's a great mix, but I'm curious how that was decided.
Arguing,
Yeah, I think that's-
and shouting, and no, I don't know. Like Tom kind of alluded to, like my experience on this book is everyone who's worked on like the IDW era of Turtles, and then even the people I've met who've worked on other iterations, like Turtles people are like really polite and nice, and like there's not a lot of maniacs and like egos. And so it was, I don't know, it's like you get like a bunch of nice people together and it's like, what pizza do you want to order? Everybody's like, oh, I don't really like 5 ingredients, but like I'll eat whatever. I'll just whatever, so some of it was, I think, like just trying to figure out like what Paramount had going on, which is always a factor and an okay factor. That's not me like complaining. And then there's, like editorial knows what's going to go on in the book, and like Tom and everybody, they kind of know what's going to go on like a year or 2 or 3 in advance sometimes. So, like for me, I was just like, I was pitching blind personally. I was like, this would be cool. I like this character. That'd be cool.
Was there one that you brought into the fold, Caleb, that made it or no, or that didn't make it?
Oh yeah, tons didn't make it. I did. Like, I have like this thing because like I'm 40 and I was born like a year to the day after the first issue of TMNT came out at like a comic convention. Like
Oh,
it
wow.
was released to the world. So I was born under a turtle star. But like to this day, I'm like, your background, I'm just looking at all the toys, because that was like my core formative exposure to like the turtles, just like being 2, 3 years old, and just like I had a friend and his parents were divorced, and like they bought him every Ninja Turtle toy. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I go to his house and like I had like 6, I don't know, I take the turtle van in the sewer and I like, Ace Duck and stuff. But like I would go over to his house and he's got like everyone. I was just like, oh, and you looked at the back of those action figure boxes, and it would have like 300 characters by the time the line was done, the original Playmates line. So I'm just going through and I'm just like, what's the like deep cut character who will just like break this series and no one cares about, So I'm trying to like shove stuff in that wouldn't even make sense or have any appeal. I'm like, I think at one point I tried to get, I'm spacing on the name. Who's the giraffe dude? I'm Googling.
Hot shot.
Half
No,
court.
half court.
Yeah, I wanted
Yeah.
half court in there just to like, because you never see half court. I was like, let's
No,
get
I
half
think he
court
was
in
in
the
the
mix.
background of one episode of Rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and beyond that, I
Yeah.
don't think he's ever. Yeah, we haven't seen much of Half Court.
I wanted to
think-
crack the Easter eggs, you know what I mean? Like I just wanted to crack them all open.
Sure, yeah.
But fortunately, like, we got a great team. Everybody on this book had great ideas, and they actually wanted to make sense. And like all of our editors actually wanted to make sense. So they're like, what's the thematic reason for this character? They're all like writing haikus.
You're like, he has a
and getting
basketball.
groovy. I'm like, he's a giraffe. Cool. Boom, boom, boom. But yeah, the characters who did make it in are still like super fun. There's one character, especially in my issue, that I don't want to spoil,
Okay.
that was of my like deep cut kind of, let's see like this character like face off against this character, because there's so many characters in turtle lore. Some of them, it's almost like the Alapex, like Ninjara.
Yeah.
There's two foxes. So like,
there's two foxes and two pigs. There's
4 turtles. So
there's four, but there's 4 turtles, but there's also like 35th turtles, right?
yeah.
Like,
I mean, that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
But so like, I got to like do one of those in the issue, and I'm excited for people to see that. It's not super long or anything, but I got plenty of satisfaction with the characters that did make more sense. To like the emotional core of the story.
The only thing I remember, correct me if I'm wrong, guys, I do remember there was a dictate at the beginning that they wanted Slash was going to be in it. Like Slash is coming back and he'll be alive, but it was never, and he's going to fight or he's going to do it was kind of more of this like Planet Hawk kind of idea. That was kind of what inspired it. This idea
that's
that
cool. Sure.
we all think Slash one thing happened, but maybe another thing happened, right? And Slash was the character I killed that killed me to kill way back when. So I had mixed emotions at first, but not anymore. Now the way it's been handled, I absolutely love it. And like Cal was saying, it was kind of like Wild West, the way we were throwing ideas out and characters. And I give all the editors credit for this. I could look at like what I pitched, and not all the characters I pitched to be in the battles made it, but the reasoning for the battles made it. This is why it's writing. So thematically, so I got part of the haiku right, and then somebody else got the rest of the haiku right because they had the right character idea or whatever. But ultimately, I think it came down to editorial deciding, okay, these are the 4. Paramount, obviously Jeff Whitman at Paramount, they have a lot of input into this too, who they'd like to see, getting some spotlight or not. And I think just all those components had to be sorted out and put together into one working mechanism. But I do remember that Slash was a name that was early on, and Ninjara. These are characters that will be in there. Let's figure out what we're going to do with them.
Now, Slash, I mean, that's our Slash. That's IDW Slash, right? Because okay. Because I mean, that's an exciting thing that he's back. I too was like, he had a very meaningful death. So there's a part of me that's like, oh, do I want him back? And then once he's back, though, I've read the first 2 issues, and I was like, okay, I kind of love that he's back. So
yeah. And I was saying when they told me, I mean, quietly to myself, I was like, I don't know. I mean,
sure.
I feel like I went through a lot. I mean, the story of Slash dying was I wrote that scene and turned it into Bobby, and then Bobby made a suggestion. He goes, "Oh, maybe Mikey can give him a candy bar." And I thought, okay, let me rewrite it. And then I cried when I rewrote it. And I was like, okay, Bobby, I hate your guts because now you're making me cry writing this thing, but it's like one of those things where all of a sudden it hits you, and they're make believe, but they're characters that you've been living in a make believe world with them for years.
Sure.
And it's sad when they go away. And so I thought after going through that, do I want him to come back? Is he my Uncle Ben? And turns out, no, it's the idea in the thought behind his return is pretty cool.
How did Metalhead find his way in there? 2012 Metalhead.
Eric, do you know that? I thought maybe you might know that.
Know?
That one's no. I as far as I can tell, it just when we were having our writers back and forth, somebody just threw out Metalhead, and then it just became needs to be this one, or this one, and I let that. I just watched the conversation happen.
That's a particularly good Metalhead, though. I mean, that's really like
it definitely is. Yeah,
great design. It's like Ciro really put his own touch on that character. That's a great Metalhead.
And then going back to that thematic
just
element, it's
sorry,
certainly somebody that Donnie would be pitted against one in some shape or form.
Sure.
if it wasn't Donnie, you could see him having to be forced to fight Harold Lilja or something like that. But Metalhead is obviously the more, I think, visually exciting opponent for Donnie to be fighting, and so that played into it quite a bit.
Paul, I'm sorry, did you say something?
The 212 decision was editorial, or maybe Paramount. I thought that was a great decision.
I mean, it's a good mix, right? You want from different. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, I feel arrogant saying this, but since it was like the one big contribution I had, 2012 Metalhead was me. So
Oh, nice, awesome.
that matchup came from me. So that's.
Do you have a particular
As-
affection for that show or
and-
that character in this show?
What's that?
Do you have a particular affection for that show or that character in that show?
Yeah, I mean, I have an affection for Metalhead in general, and I was just kind of sort of like Caleb said. I was sort of looking for very intentionally for good matchups, and I was looking for matchups that would have a good emotional resonance. And I thought the relationship between Metalhead and Donnie in that show, and how different it is from the relationship between Metalhead and Donnie in the IDW comics, and that would be interesting for both of them to face off against this person they had a very intense bond with, and figuring out, oh, this bond is actually quite different. Like this is not the person I thought. This is not what I thought this was going to be at all. I thought there were a lot of interesting things to mine there. So
right, because like he's a villain in IDW verse, but like in the 2012 show, he's like an adorable Roomba. Like he doesn't really, he doesn't have like he's not alive in the same way, right?
Yeah, exactly.
You know what? He's becoming pretty popular too, because we just did. I work on a video game called Splintered Fate, and we've gotten to the point with the Splintered Fate video game where we're doing these DLCs, and the first new playable character was Casey Jones. Well, recently we just made Metalhead playable, and that got a really cool response. But it is the more fun-loving kind of Metalhead. But Paul reminds me of something. Is not only were we talking at one point when we started talking about specific, battles, who's going to fight whom. It was when it came to who was going to write things. I remember early on, I think before even everybody got pulled into this, when we were just discussing it, at IW amongst ourselves, there was this idea that Metalhead might be involved, and right away we said, well, Paul's writing that one. We know that, and that's, I mean, again, so it's like not only do we try to play thematically to strengths, but we play creatively to strengths. And Paul's Metalhead story changed the trajectory of that character completely in IDW. It like defined Metalhead in our book, and so it was one of those things where you just know, like, well, this person has to write this. It's just like saying Erik needs to write these little scripts, these little funny things at the back with Og and stuff, because it just makes sense for him and Sarah and them to be involved with that. But that was very deliberate who was doing what once we knew what it was.
Paul, can you talk more about your I don't know, coming on? Was there other characters that you like Caleb with Halfcore? Was there other characters you wanted to get in the mix but they didn't make sense, or they didn't pan out?
Yeah, that was the big one, in terms of the battles that I made a contribution for. I had a lot of other like smaller ideas that, in fact, some of them that were even in my original script had a lot more cameos and ended up getting kind of ported out for reasons that I get. And also, at a couple different points, tried to give Ice Cream Kitten a much larger role than it ended up having, which I think is non-existent. But yeah, there were a few times where I was like, well, this would be great for Ice Cream Kitten. But yeah, so yeah, there were definitely things, but that was again, like Tom talked about how, like, everyone kind of brought their 5 issues, and to me, like, I really just kind of, I feel like I kind of played around the margins. I didn't really talk a ton in the writers' rooms. For me, it was more the experience of watching these guys, have a really good and juicy and meaty debate, while I just kind of sat back and went like, yeah, whatever we end up with, I'll write the heck out of my portion of it and go from there. It's kind of like in Sideways, when Thomas Hayden Church and Paul Giamatti go on a wine trip, and Paul Giamatti's like the big wine snob, and every time Thomas Hayden Church drinks something, he goes, I don't know, tastes all right to me. That was kind of me in those writers' meetings. Like, yeah, these ideas all sound good. We could make any of this work. So yeah, for sure.
The greatest enemy of all was, and they're all going to agree with me, I know it, 20 pages. Yeah, but I wish each issue could have been 40 pages. In the
Oh,
perfect,
sure, yeah.
there was just so much we could. I mean, with more pages, it would have been amazing. It's just obviously that's not always easy to attain more pages, but I think we did a lot in the 20 pages. But I do feel like if this is successful, there's definitely room for more, a lot more.
Erik, what about you? Was there characters that you brought to the fold or wanted to? And
I would have been happy to write anything. And when we were discussing, it was just I was throwing out, or I found myself discussing the ideas, just supporting. Oh yeah, no, that's a good idea. That makes sense. Or when occasionally when I pushed back, it just served to to reinforce whatever somebody else was going to do. I don't know if that works. No, it works. But I wound up wrapping it up, so it's just like there wasn't room for me to add a ton of stuff because I had everybody else's ton of stuff to tie off at the
sure,
end.
yeah.
Which that sounds like a complaint the way I said it. It was not a complaint. It made it much easier for me and hard at the same time. But Tom's talking about the more than 20 pages. I was thinking I would have just loved to have 2 on those backups because it was, have a character introduce 8 other characters, then have them fight and resolve it, and you get 1 page.
Yeah,
that was a challenge. It was a lot of fun, and I love having challenges like that. But it was a bigger challenge than the 20 pages, that's for sure.
Erik, jumping over to the back issue, the backup story, real quick. I mean, they have some really. I'm really excited about the B covers for this series because it's really just some really all-star, all-time turtle artists. Ken Matroni, Dan Schoening does some stuff. A lot of great people do a lot of really cool artwork on those covers. But I'm curious if you want to talk about how the backup story features, one team of turtles versus another team of turtles. For issues 2 through 5. How were those chosen? So the first pairing, well, we know from the cover, so I'm not spoiling anything. We know that the movie Turtles from 1990 fight the Mutant Mayhem Turtles. How was that decided that these are the right pairs to fight?
Okay, well, it started out that was the idea to do the 1-pagers all came from Nickelodeon. It was Jeff Whitman, our guy at Nickelodeon, thought it would be a fun, bit of dessert after the main story. And then it became, we'd like you to do them. Cool. Who can I use? We don't know yet. So it took them a while to figure out who was available, which Turtles groups would be available and which wouldn't. And then they got back to the list, and we just we did a call and jammed out Jeff, my Saturday Morning Adventures editor, Thea, and I just sat down and talked about who would be fun to see. And it was just like, okay, the first movie version against the most recent movie version, the Saturday Morning Adventures cast versus the Archie cast. It was just going back and forth like that.
No, that's an interesting choice because
they're the same. They're practically the same. Yeah.
No, they're very similar. So what was the? I'm curious about the reasoning there because those are, to me, those are turtles that I find distinctly different, but I don't know if everybody does. So what was the thought there? Because those are more similar turtles.
The thought there is that they had the same origin point that they diverged from. So they both came from the cartoon,
sure,
and then
branch universe.
Yeah, yep, exactly. That was that, and then it just
I love that the black suit was chosen. I don't know whose choice that was.
Oh no, that was going to happen either way. I mean, we if I remember right, I think we used.
Well, they're all in the wrestling suits, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and that was I said we got to give it. This is what they're known for when it comes to the interdimensional fighting. They've got to be in the wrestling costumes.
And the only turtles who wore those costumes, that's such a great way to be like, oh, that's Archie and nothing else. Yeah.
Yep. So we got that, and then I made Paul happy. Got Ice Cream Kitty in there as well. So
sure.
But no, it was just 1-page comedy bits are a lot of fun to do, and they're a real challenge. And I loved that I was able to get a chance to do that and bring just a completely dissimilar but compatible vibe to the series through them, if that makes sense.
Now, you had 2003 versus 2012. How was that decision made?
Now that was purely Jeff. That was his call. He said, I want to see these two go against each other.
Sure.
Like, all right, cool, that works for me. And it just the hard thing was to try to come up with a way to have again in one page with a humorous bent to have some kind of a winner to these matchups.
Was that
and not
like a
and not
major
have it
debate
feel
point?
the same every issue.
Sure.
That was actually not have it feel the same. So
Was that a major debate point? Like, oh well, who would win this? Like, who would?
I would have see it's a coin toss with all of them really. So
Sure.
it just I just wanted more space to play with the personalities. That's the only that was the only thing I thought it would be more fun to play with the contrast, because I mean so the fighting between the two, it's going to, you know, cool pose, coin
Sure.
toss, this
Yeah.
is the winner.
And then it was Rise versus Mirage. Was the idea there? It's the contrast, right? Because it's a wildly
Yeah.
different franchise.
Yeah, the very gritty original, and then the most I think Rise is the most virgin, making them just superheroes, giving them powers, and the whole So I mean, yeah, that was the other choice in contrast. And I think that was it really just, that was the last one chosen. It just says, well, I guess these two are together because we've paired everybody else off.
That makes sense. You know, speaking of the Mirage, okay, I'm going to jump to Paul here. I'm curious. So Mirage Shredder is featured in this in a big way. The artwork looks great, and he's like really stands out. I'm curious, Paul, were there any quirks to that Shredder? Because he speaks in that first issue, he speaks in a very distinct way. So tell me about writing for him.
Yeah, it was really fun to go back and, you know, reread those early Mirage issues and be like, okay, yeah, this is I can see why this made it as big an impact as it did. Yeah, it was really fun trying to capture his voice, which is very distinctive, and I think we did an all right job. And
Oh,
the
you
other
did great. Like
oh,
he's
thank
very
you.
like there's a certain like villainous grandiosity to him that you captured nicely.
Yes.
Yeah. And then the next big challenge came in the art phase when it was trying to stay true to the character while having a level of violence and gore that was acceptable to our licensor.
Sure.
So that was definitely something that took a lot of calibration along the way and a lot of discussions as well. But yeah, it was a lot of fun bringing that character in and just, you know, just he's fantastic. I mean, he's just vicious, you know, and he knows in his mind, he knows these turtles. He knows every turtle. Like none of these people, like most of the characters can acknowledge, oh, you're from another dimension, you're from another continuity, you are a stranger to me. To Mirage Shredder, no, you people are all just the turtles. I know all of you. I know what makes all of you tick. And he's kind of right, you know. So that's the other fascinating thing about it. Yeah, that was a lot of fun writing him.
I think Paul,
Go ahead,
Paul
Tom,
does a good job that everybody does, but I really like kind of go back to what Erik was saying about, you know, the flip of the coin on those back end strips. But in this series, I felt everybody did a really good job of what may look like a black and white victory defeat is not. Everything is in the gray area in the story, and that's what I like about it the most. So what you're seeing might not be what you're seeing, you know. And so it's one of those things where just because somebody's down, they're not out. You know what I mean? And I thought that was a kind of running theme in this story is don't count anybody out, even though it may seem like they're out. And I thought that was done really well because especially like in Paul's issue, I was looking at that. It's a vicious fight, you know, and it appears to go a certain way, and that's what I like about this series is keep reading because there's surprises.
What I liked about Mirage Shredder's inclusion, not just because it's, you know, goes back to the origin, was like that character's been kind of, I don't know if the word is nerfed or whatever. Like, you know, in the first issue, he's dead by the end of issue 1, which is fine because there was never supposed to be an issue 2. But like, if you watch Turtles Forever, like all the turtles just throw trash cans at Shredder, and he's out of the story. Like he's not a thing. And this kind of, I thought that this did a nice job of like, no, he's a real threatening force, even though he really was only ever in one issue of one comic ever, which I thought was cool.
Yeah, well, he's like ultimately, like I think Battle Nexus, what it expresses is that Shredder, yeah, like we all made that same joke about how he's like actually the worst Shredder because he dies like
Sure, yeah.
immediately, and like the turtles haven't had their adventures and experience yet. But that's like a joke out of love, because what that Shredder is in like those first drawings of Shredder, he's a totemic force. He's a thought form. He is like the single cell organism from which all other shredderness was begot, so like he's a protoform. He's like the spiritual idea of Shredder. And in this story, it's like, this isn't like heady stuff that's necessarily in the tale. It's just like what's expressed in the tale, in my opinion. But we're seeing in this story like the manifestation of that idea coming full circle into like our head canons as a 40-plus-year-old fandom. So like, yeah, I mean, like, it's awesome to see him get thrown, over the side of a building and have trash cans thrown at him and like all this stuff, like because that's like, the canon and the lore and like what we all know and like actually love, because it's like so ironic too, like he's become the greatest villain in Turtles history. And yeah, I think now we're gonna see what Shredder means in a story as a character. But that's just me. That's just me getting all metaphysical and about Shredder.
I love that.
Yeah,
Jake,
you're right. And, we've all had a bad day and been killed by our arch enemies in the first issue. It's happened to all of us, so we can just accept that that's a thing that happens and move on.
if anything, it just teaches you not to play with thermite grenades. Like that's. Jake, tell me, does this series is it kind of self-contained, or does it have repercussions with the Turtles past the 5 issues? Can you
There
share
will be
that?
things coming out of the story that will affect the future of Turtles in the main line. Absolutely.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Guys, I think that's a wrap here. I thank you all for coming. I maybe to end with, I usually ask people to name their favorite turtle, but instead, let's do it. Their favorite turtle in given the conversation here. The favorite turtle from their favorite a version, like from their favorite version. Like which version of this character is your favorite? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm not sure if I'm speaking anywhere. It's late here. Paul, for you to start, favorite turtle from and which iteration?
Boring answer, still IDW Raph. Let's call it loyalty.
Tom?
Gotta be last run in Michelangelo.
Oh, sure, yeah. I should have guessed that one.
But which
Although,
version?
Jenica, just because I was there at the conception,
Sure.
Yeah. Sophie birthed Jenica, so that's very special to me. I have to admit that.
Caleb?
It's a tie between 2003 Mikey, who I thought was like the Mikey I always wanted to see. Like funny, but like the best. And honestly, that's last Ronin Mikey, Tom. And we both know it. Last Ronin Mikey is 2003 Mikey in the future. For me, sorry, I'm not, but also Rise Raph. I just love Rise Raph. I love what they did with that whole arc. But yeah, 2003 Mikey is like, I want to be 2003 Mikey with a better future than Tom gave him.
I thought it was
gotta blame Kevin and Peter too.
Oh yeah.
Jake, how about you?
Oh, I mean, it's really tough, but just because I am the age I am, I gotta go with the 1990 movie Raphael.
Sure, yeah.
I also, in an old life, when I was in college, I was a theater kid and wanted to be an actor. And I was actually at a studio that Josh Peiss, who played him, taught at. And I never got to have a class with Josh, but I saw him in the hallways and he did some like guest classes and stuff. So yeah, I gotta say Raph.
That's a great, I mean, to me, that's like the Raph, right? In so many ways. Like that's Erik, what about you?
Throw a dart at one of the Donatellos. Probably a 2012 Donatello is a fun one to write, and 87. But are the exasperation that they both have. But the most fun I had in Battle Nexus, just brought it up, was the unexpected guest from, well, I mean, it's out there now, but the unexpected guest in the first backup, which was Last Ronin, which took forever to get approved. We had contingency plans if Sarah had to redraw it, but just getting to put that little bit in there just made me giddy for the project.
Jake, I don't know if you have all this offhand. I should have asked you beforehand. Can we talk release dates and stuff? So issue 1 hits December. Shit, I'm sorry, I didn't think to this in advance.
Yeah, no, hold on. I am terrible at remembering dates.
I think that's
off
Christmas
the top of my
Eve.
head, but I can pull it
I
up.
thought it was Christmas Eve too. I think Eric's right. I was going to say that.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So issue 1's Christmas Eve, and it's every 2 weeks after that.
Which puts my issue the day before my birthday, so good timing there.
Well, we worked it all out that way.
I know. I appreciate that. It's the.
I'm not
Yeah,
sure
it's
exactly when
December
this is gonna
24th
run,
for
but
one.
Okay, yeah. So anyway, get into your local comic shop. They're great. Get those B covers. I mean, they're all great covers. Don't get me wrong, but those B covers, man, I'm excited for those. So, thank you all for being here. I really appreciate it.
Thanks.
Thank
you.
you.
Yo, when it's hot outside and I need something cool, I can always depend on you, my ice cream kitty. The purr, the fur, the whiskered one. My kitty that lives away from the sun. To nap in my lap, she likes the best. Right there, vanilla hair, she lives in an ice chest. I scream, you scream, we all scream for kitty. I scream, you scream, we all scream for kitty. I scream, you scream, we all scream for kitty. I scream, you scream, we all scream for kitty. Me and my kitty, 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 me and my kitty. Tastes so good. Couldn't get enough. Pizza and ice cream is my favorite. One more lick, one more lick. My kitty, she knows I care. 4 paws, 4 claws, and ice cream hair. For kicks, I lick her from ear to ear. And when I need a friend, she's always here. I scream, you scream, we all scream for kitty. I scream, you scream, we all scream for kitty. I scream, you scream, we all scream for kitty. I scream, you scream, we all scream for kitty. Me and my kitty, 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 me and my kitty. Tastes so good. Couldn't get enough, dude. Pizza and ice cream is my favorite. One more lick, one more lick.
Don't you wanna lick?